Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be my first layout update for the Modular layout. I've done one of my straight module kits here and has gotten as far as putting the plaster cloth down. And I have pictures as my progress, but this is my first actual video of it. I tried doing one before I put the plaster cloth down, but there wasn't enough storage. So this module is near the end. It's actually module 2, and I did it first for its simplicity. I've drawn out the module here. This is just on graph paper. This is a 3-foot module by 1.5 feet, and that's exactly the track plan of it. I kind of sketched out the mountains and whatever, but I mean, this is really simple. Maybe took me 10 minutes to do, and you can kind of see how that's gone so far, which is actually surprisingly well. If you can see over here, this is the this part in the track plan that goes off to a loop, and these two mainline tracks will also go off to a loop. The one in the mountain is a reverse loop, so it reverses the direction of the train. That's on both ends, and really big bridge here, kind of smaller in practicality, but I figured so. And then it exits to the next module over here, and on the top, I guess it'd be on the left side of the layout, just a single track main here, and that's also just a lot of scenery. So if you haven't figured it out already, this is meant to be a peninsula, so it doesn't go against the wall. There's an operator on both sides of the layout, and each side has something different. Okay, so the first thing I did was put the box on the table, and I kind of reviewed it, took the contents out, and contents out, and read the instruction manual, which I kind of knew how to do since I've already done the Scenic Ridge layout back in the past. Next thing I did was draw out the track plan as suggested, and kind of draw where I wanted the mountains and scenery pieces to be, to give me a good idea where I wanted everything to be on the board in practicality, because there is a huge difference of having it on paper and actually having to fit it on the piece that you're building it on. So the next thing I did was try out the Woodland Scenics, what are they called, profile boards. And for this, since it's a peninsula layout and there's an operator on each side, I actually had to cut one of the pieces in half and have the bigger ends on the side, or on the end pieces, and not on the sides. The sides measure 4 inches tall and the ends measure 8 inches. And this deviates from the instruction manual, of course, because of my unique situation. Typically the back would be the biggest part, since it'd be up against the wall for scenery. As you can see, I've got a bunch of styrofoam pieces. Always save your styrofoam pieces, they come handy later down the road. Next, I test fitted the 2-inch risers where I wanted them to be on my track plan, since I had already drawn it out. And I started cutting them, so that gives me a good idea where I want on the track. The next thing I did was, once those, before I actually installed those were just pinned down and I had cut them, I put the profile boards on the 2 sides with the connecting connector plates. These are included in the kit and link the modules together. I poked holes out the end of them so that you could see from the outside where to bolt them. And the next picture shows you actually have to cut underneath the layout, and that's where 3 inches deep, so you can install the connectors, which are actually the linkages are included. They're metal bolts with wing nuts, so you can put those on there. So after I had installed the 2 end pieces, I put in the 2-inch risers, since it's easier to access, and I adjusted them for the extra length that the connector plates is put on. And after those were glued down and settled, I cut and put the 2 side pieces on that are linked together by some more profile board. And I drew a 2-inch mark where I knew the risers were to give me a good idea of what I wanted above and below. And I took a styrofoam cutting tool, not the one from Woodland Scenics. Let me pull it out here. This is the styrofoam cutting tool I use, since it's a lot better, since it's just one, it's just like a hot knife instead of the Woodland Scenics that have a wire that you would have to cut above like this. This one you can cut sideways, and this is good because it acts as an actual knife instead of having to, a lot of the things I couldn't have cut with the Woodland Scenics because there's a specific angle you have to cut them at. And some pieces it's impossible because you only have 6 inches of depth to work with. So after I marked those out, I decided to cut everything up and basically take away the excess, and that gives you a good idea of what you want the outsides to look like and basically your contours from all the sides. And then the part where your layout really takes shape is putting the newspaper wads down. Now, they have it suggested that you just make a bunch of wads and put them in a place and, that's all hunky-dory. It really looked like just balls on the layout. It didn't look like mountains at all. So to get the results that I did, I had to make a newspaper wads, but a lot of it I just cut up and shoved in there. But I also put a lot of masking tape on it, and that really gave me a second layer of realism. The first being the newspaper wads to give it a structural form from the inside so it wouldn't cave in, and the masking tape provided as more of a mountain kind of, you can adjust it from there so it doesn't go in like a crack and then come back out. It was just one smooth slope going down. So that took me about a day to do the entire module in that, and it turns out looking really well. This is where, before you put the plaster cloth on, you can detail your layout exactly how you want it. I guarantee you I wouldn't have been able to create half the stuff that I could have on this module and how well it turned out so far, as far as the contours go, by using just newspaper wads and no masking tape. And after that, I started applying the plaster cloth, and you see the finished product put before you. And overall, is a really nice professional look, I think, in my opinion, thus far. I had to do the, as you can see, there's some cardboard in there inside the tunnel. I had to put that up. I had to do the tunnel walls and then put the newspaper wadding over it. So I also had to lay the track down, but directions said to ballast it, but I don't have my ballast yet. They do provide some. I didn't notice that until I opened it up to get the plaster cloth, which they also provide a ton of. This is how much I'm left over with an additional packaged this much. And I was able to cover my layout, or not the layout, the module, about 1.5 times. So some of it was overlapping, and overall it hasn't, I just put it on like 10 minutes ago, but it's pretty tough. So far it's turned out very well. And the other side over here gives it a, this is more of a very nice single track scenery look. But I put the divider in between to, when the operator's on one side, once this is lifted up and it's eye level or a bit below, it acts as a divider between the two sides. Some modules will not have that, however, since this was scenery, it was definitely a must-have. So I can feel like it's twice the layout in the same space, which is what I went for when I wanted the biggest layout possible. That's also a trick in model railroading. If you have your layout or your track loop around twice, or run the layout twice, it turns 24 feet into 48 feet really fast. So this wraps it up for my first layout update, and I will see you guys in the next video.